I didn't know that's why they did that.
That's so good, right? Well,
So that's a little clappy thing.
And I was
Oh,
like,
it's
what
like
a great
the-
idea.
Yeah, I didn't know that was to sync it. I thought that was just so someone watches.
Wait,
They go,
so you're
oh, cool, that's
saying
take
in the
5.
movies that this thing is for that as well?
That's
Because
weird.
you've just blown my mind if that's that.
If that's what it is.
I honestly thought it was this is take 5, and then you can easily look at the beginning of the tapes and know exactly what you're
Probably
looking
is that
at.
as well. But if it is that as
Yeah.
well, I'll
would
lose
make
my
sense.
absolute mind.
Oh my God.
I never knew that.
Because I always just
It
thought it was
probably
funny why they
is.
would do that. And I'm like, just delete the other ones.
It's true because it doesn't need to make a sound if
actually
it's
don't
just to
delete
tell
it.
them what
That's
scene
right.
and stuff.
Oh my gosh. And really, what's the point of just doing
That's
that?
what I mean.
That's so smart. Oh my God.
And
that
like
is
you always see
awesome.
those like TV shows where they've gone through like
It
98
is.
different cuts.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's exactly. Can you guys verify that?
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a clapper. Yeah.
That's sick.
Wow.
wow.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Episode done. Like, there's
Yeah,
our bit of
literally,
information.
Like, that's it. That's all the
Guys.
information you need to know.
Wow.
Guys. Hi guys, welcome back to our podcast. I'm your host Bianca.
I'm Vic.
I'm Olivia.
Today we are talking about the misinformation on social media and through the media.
Yeah. Big topic.
Big topic. And it's happening a lot at the moment as well.
Yep.
So many things have come out. We're seeing a lot of misinformation. We're seeing how it affects people in their lives. It's just big.
Yeah. And it's such a broad spectrum as well. Like you've got misinformation just with sort of personalities, right? So we've got celebrities, artists, sports athletes, whatever it might be, anyone in the public view. Then you've got misinformation with day-to-day news. So like events around the world. So it's sort of become this big thing, right? And it's affecting everything,
Yeah.
you know?
Because news is so important, right?
Yeah. A lot of people get their news from social media,
Yeah.
you know, which is a massive shift. You
Yeah.
know, 15 years ago, different dynamic,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It was just
and-
like the news channels. So you'd have your top
Yeah.
4 or
Yeah.
whatever, and they would usually have the same information.
Yep.
Because you'd see them all like lined up at the same scene with the same information.
Yeah, that's right. And now that so many more people are getting their news and sort of trying to learn about the world, whatever's happening in the world from social media, it becomes super dangerous.
Yeah.
And
you know?
unverified sources.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are they called?
Such
a
Citizen
problem.
journalists. Like everybody
Everyone
is
thinks they're a
reporting on the
journalist.
news. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a big thing as well to note is there's a difference between misinformation and disinformation.
Yeah.
So misinformation is unintentional. Like I genuinely thought that this was the truth and I've
Yeah.
let you know, like actually a mistake.
Yeah.
But disinformation is where people are purposely putting out the wrong information to
Yeah.
mislead you.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, to be honest, both of them are really dangerous.
Yes.
They have the same
Hit it on the head.
effect. Yeah. But one of them, the intention is there to actually cause harm
Yeah.
and spread the wrong information. And both
Yeah.
of those are happening on social media because there's no verification of the facts that people are putting out. There's no code of ethics they stick to, like regular journalists. They could say whatever they want. There's no consequences for the individual.
For sure. And it can be so detrimental.
Yeah.
Misinformation, it can't just be like, oh, whoopsies. It could cause like someone's reputation to be ruined.
That's
And it
right.
has
Yeah.
so many times.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so sad.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's sad because someone could be innocent, and a lot of time they are, whatever. People jump the gun,
Yeah.
you know, these days. But
Point the finger
even
and
when
Yeah.
they are proven to be innocent or whatever, there's a stigma still
Yeah.
because
You
that's
can
what people
never
have
take it
seen.
back.
Yeah.
You know, and that's horrible.
it is horrible.
You know, that's so bad.
Mm.
And unfortunately, it's not just celebrities and athletes who are, you know, and it's not right to do that to them either.
because
but
they're in the public eye. It's so easy to point
they're
fingers.
prepared for it.
For sure.
So they can sort of, it's sort of a bit more like water off a duck's back in a lot of situations because they're like, okay, yeah, I get this. You know, people are going to talk crap about us, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of everyday people also go through this, you know,
Yeah.
and you can see some
Yeah.
pretty big effects from that, you know,
Yeah.
like we can go, it gets pretty tragic at times, which is horrible, you know.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, because so many people get the news from their social media accounts
Yeah.
now, it affects everything,
Yeah.
you know. And that sort of works both ways. Like there's so many examples in regards to disinformation. Probably the biggest one, I don't know how much you guys have heard about the previous election. But there was a lot of misinformation by both parties in
And
the
we're talking
American
about
the American election, where Twitter and Instagram and whatever was
would
flooded.
control
Yeah.
what
It was
being
flooded
put out.
with not only was it flooded with misinformation, but
Censorship.
you know, censorship.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's sort of the same thing, right? On
Yeah.
the other
Admitting
side.
something is
Yeah, and it's so bad because people actually went to hearings because of it. That's how bad it got. Like, we're literally affecting
the way
life events and
Literally.
the way countries are run. That is massive.
Yeah, it is massive.
You
Because
know?
like someone could have leaked something about some, one of the parties, right? And I'm not saying that this happened, but someone could have released it and then everyone's like, oh, I'm going to believe that, jumped on it. And it's like, whoa, that didn't happen, but it's too late. Social media takes it, runs with it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Sometimes something is released. Oh, oopsies! It's not oopsies,
No.
especially when you're a public figure in some instances, because an oopsie, 10,000 people have seen that oopsie, screenshot it, saved it, it's gone.
And not all of those people would see an apology or a retraction saying actually that wasn't the case. Like
Yes.
they would say like misinformation spreads faster than the truth because normally it's sensationalized. Like that's what sells.
Especially when they say as well, like the whole stigma around when like a celebrity will post something and then delete it straight away. It's like, oh, why did they delete it?
Yeah.
And then all of these stories
Gets
and
circulated
conspiracies
around,
come around. Oh, it was because of this, I saw this person had, it looked like they were cheating on this person because there was a hand in the background or whatever it is, right? Or they've accidentally called someone out and it's like, oh God. Like it could have just been like, oh, I don't actually like the photo of myself anymore. I'm going to delete it when it was a whole.
And they turn it into a massive beast.
And run with it.
Yeah.
I think there's also so much power being placed in the individual platforms and their algorithms.
Yes.
I know there was this big Facebook study, I think in 2012, it was like a social contagion study. And basically what they did for a select amount of users for a whole week, they would only show one part of them negative posts and the other person, they would show them positive posts and they would try and judge the impact that that had on their own personal mood. And what they found was the people who they showed all of these negative posts, they were way more likely to post negatively themselves and react negatively to different things. Like,
oh my gosh,
they can
That's
1,000,000% impact your mood. And they know that. Like, they tested it. It is proven.
Wow.
They can show the same thing before an election. If you want you to vote a certain way, great, let's bombard you with these certain videos.
How significant. That is so
it is
crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, everything you see affects your emotional state.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We become what we're taking in,
course,
right?
yes,
and that's where it becomes so scary.
That's why
And
Vic talks about
and you
high
put the power in
vibrations.
an algorithm.
always got to stay vibrating high. And that also delves into another topic of kids on social media and what age is is sort of okay. And because they get affected even more than us.
Yeah.
We're more emotionally
they're
stable.
so emotionally open at that age.
And out of control.
And
they're
they
not in
can't
control.
determine what's real and what's fake.
Yes.
And that was such a big, it's the same thing, like why horror movies are for 15 plus or whatever, right? Because when you're young, you can't fathom that situation where, someone's, getting killed in a movie is fake. Like they can't separate that from a movie in real life.
That's right.
And that's why kids get nightmares and they get all, freaked out by things.
Yeah.
But it's so true.
But even when it seems harmless, that still has a massive effect. Like Spider-Man. There were, I don't know what country it was, I think somewhere in Europe, where a child went and found a Black Widow spider because he wanted to become Spider-Man.
That. But you know what, though? That's so hard because from obviously we talk about the damage control sides of things. It's like, it's a movie, right? But it's if a child has seen that, and it's also parental guidance.
Yeah,
So
correct.
if the parent has allowed them to watch that, they've gone, oh, I hope my kid is smart enough not to go pick up a spider and let it bite them.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You don't know. And with social media, there's clips of everything. There's so many young kids that I know, and a couple of them are so entrenched in social media already, and they watch so many clips, and they'll watch a lot of things they'll watch the general stuff, but then, some of them will be so into Logan Paul or whatever, some big famous ones. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it warps their reality a bit, right?
For sure.
Like he's coming, one of them would come up to me, oh, I want Prime, it's so good for you. I'm like,
you've just been sucked in by marketing, mate.
That's marketing 101, right? But back to the point that there's so much damage, and that study is amazing because that was in 2012. How much exponentially has that changed in terms of social media?
Imagine if they did it now, though.
Oh my God,
it would be so crazy.
But
so crazy. I was saying because there's just so many people are on social media now.
Everybody.
Like it's not just like, oh, I'm going to jump on Facebook because, Facebook was the only thing, you had your MySpace and whatever, but Facebook was the thing, right? But imagine if he did it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Imagine if they did it on TikTok. And I mean, that kind of dives into my next thing was that TikTok apparently had an update and it now feeds you. Pardon?
Everything is alleged.
Allegedly.
Allegedly TikTok had an update and it basically your For You page or your algorithm was determined by your comments, what you like, the videos that you spend the most time on, what you're sending your friends. And we all know that if we like one video on TikTok, you get a million of the same
100.
kinds of videos.
Yeah, yeah.
So with this update, it's kind of determining your mood. So say you're in a really, really upset mood, you've had a bad day at work, it'll show you videos on, workplace memes, right? Where you're talking about, oh, I hate my job or whatever it is, right? And then if you continue to interact with that, and then it might have a keyword of like depression or something, then it will show you posts about mental health and and then it just keeps going and going and going, because it's literally seeing how you're reacting on social media and going, okay, I'm going to show her all of this.
Yeah.
And that can be really, really bad, because you could be having a bad day and, the videos that are super, super sad or whatever keep coming up and you're like, oh, that's me. That's relative to me, right?
You connect with it.
You're connecting with it.
In a negative way.
Yeah, and then you're like, and
spiral.
it just keeps going you into in a bad mood.
It becomes dangerous.
It is.
And wasn't there some, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there something a part of that? I don't know if it was that update or some other where it actually detects your different facial features or something like that?
I think that there was, again, allegedly, that there was a line in the terms and conditions that briefly stated something about we can use facial recognition or something to do with to see how you're reacting. But I think it's, again, super allegedly.
That's
but
mind-blowing though.
I think that they had really, really broadly written it. Like it was very, very
vague.
Very, very vague. And I think that the people who had then called out and gone, I think this is what it's trying to mean, would then it's taking photos of you.
Yeah.
It's interpreting how your reaction is to the video, and they're using that data to then feed you more information or feed you different ads to make you feel better or whatever, right? And if that's legit, that's
super scary.
But again, it's so vague that no one reads the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
But these people did, and they're like, that's a bit of a weird, vague comment, and that's how they've kind of taken from that comment and gone, oh, this is probably what it means. But then we all freak out when we see something on our For You page, like, oh my gosh, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Or how did they know that that's what I wanted? That's the same with ads. It's the same thing.
It's 100%.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that technology definitely exists. I don't know what it's called, but on iPhones there's a feature where when you unlock your phone, you can say only unlock when I'm actively looking at my phone and wanting it to unlock. They can definitely detect your facial expressions and know what you're trying to do, and it will not unlock your phone unless it deems that that's actually what you're trying to do at that moment.
You're not trying to just have a check on your notifications.
And that's crazy. 1,000,000%. If they wanted to do that, they could.
Yeah. And it probably is happening. It's just, we just go, yep, accept. I agree, because who doesn't want to go on TikTok, right?
It just becomes a bit scary, right? Because with all that tech and the fact that they've done these studies, where do we sort of get to a point where we don't know whatever's happening in the world? Where does it get to a point where we don't know if it was stimulated and then generated by them manipulating social media at certain levels and changing the energy and the behavior of society itself?
Definitely.
That's messing
It's
with the fabric
God.
of exactly. In a way, it is, because they're messing with the fabric of society and what's happening in terms of events.
What they want you to see, what they don't want you to see.
Yeah.
I know there was a thing not long ago about certain platforms, I don't remember which, was probably TikTok, allegedly, were banning certain videos with certain hashtags or certain keywords. So if it was something to do with a world event, like maybe a catastrophic incident or something, because they didn't want you to see it, they apparently were censoring all the videos with these words, keywords, hashtags, and that's again control.
Yeah.
Goes back to the whole see what they want you to see.
Yeah.
So that's the media manipulation.
And that's where it sort of becomes it becomes an irony, because the irony of it is social media initially gave everyone a voice
For sure.
to express themselves openly, blah, blah, blah. Now, without specifying, there's so many major world events happening at the moment,
so many.
in terms of war and other things. And we see this happening a lot, where things are censored. Politically, things are censored. Anything that could be deemed dangerous to people in certain institutions can be censored. where is there a line? And don't get me wrong, it goes both ways as well. There's a lot of, back to the main thing where misinformation is rife and disinformation. So there is a lot of misinformation and disinformation. But at the same time, I think they're using that as a big stick to say, no, we're censoring this because it's misinformation and,
it's for your benefit.
It's
but
for
it
your
could
benefit.
be that's opinion based. It could be
Correct.
Oh, it's misinformation because that's how I feel like it is, rather than it like, no, it's misinformation because it's factual.
Yeah.
As well, which is
Yeah.
a big thing, and it goes into like how media takes information and absolutely just runs with it because they want to be the first person to have the story out.
Yeah.
Or like as we said before, it used to be just your Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10 or whatever being the news, and now because everyone is necessarily like sometimes getting the information quicker. Like I saw things that happen, in our country on TikTok sometimes before I see it on the news.
Yeah.
Because it's personal people at the places going, oh, this is what's happening right now. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
What happened? And there's misinformation on that TikTok because people are going, I think this is what is happening. I think I heard this. I think I saw this. And then the news at nighttime goes, no, this is actually what happened. But then again, the news goes, oh, oops, my bad. That's actually not what happened. This is now what happened.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my, like what?
And it's so common, right? To the point where it happened in the last week. There was an event in Sydney.
It's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And there was more than one event. But I mean, there was one that happened 1 or 2 days ago, which I won't talk about in much detail, but it was a sad event. But that literally happened. I got a video of the event. I think it was 9 minutes after it happened. 9 minutes.
Because that's how quickly you can like turn around information
and
these
it
days.
was forwarded to me, so somebody got it
It's
even
actually
quicker.
so scary.
And you're probably not the like 1 or 2 people.
No.
You're probably like the 10,000th person.
It
who's gotten
literally
that
says
video.
in WhatsApp, forwarded many times.
Oh
So
wow!
that's how quick these things
Wow.
happen. And then on top of that, exactly what you said, the amount of misinformation that came to me following that video. Oh, the perpetrator was X, Y, Z, and this is why it happened.
Yeah.
And that literally changed about 4 times, including
Yes.
on the news, within the next 3 hours.
It's really bad.
That is so dangerous.
It's so
and it's so scary.
And we see the implications. We see the riots and things that happen afterwards because everyone's like, you have to stop, name blaming people when you don't know what's happened yet.
And you cause a group hate for something that
Correct.
is so...
People get hurt. People
Yeah.
get hurt, the first responders get hurt, the people around them get hurt.
the people trying to help. And,
yeah. Reputations get ruined, like industries and like, not to go too deep in it, but like religious people get scarred as a certain different way and it's just not healthy.
No, it's not.
We have to separate like situations from like whole industries and whole, groups of people because this is when the riots and the things just start because of the media just misinterpreting or misleading information.
And it's really sad, right?
It's
because
so sad.
social media has so many good qualities. Let's be honest. I mean, some of the marketing that comes out, we've spoken before previously on other podcasts about the cool things and the quirky things and the
for
viral
sure.
moments and just awesome marketing moments,
It's a
right?
great like thing
There's
to
so much
have,
potential,
social media.
But then the dark side of it, the underneath the belly of the
it's
beast,
horrible.
it gets pretty slimy, and unfortunately, literally proven from these experiments, it literally affects our ongoing moods, which is contagious.
For sure.
Like if I'm feeling down and I'm sitting with you guys, there's a big difference for me saying, Olivia asked me, how are you going today, Vic? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm feeling okay. A bit tired, but okay. Or I could turn around and say, oh God, I'm so tired. There's 2 different things, and that sort of then reflects onto her. Or,
and then you might see a video of someone your age, like, with a Lamborghini and living the best life.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh God, like I'm here working a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just plummeting you. Or like you get those videos. This is how I made $1 million by the age of 25. And I'm like, oh God, like why am I not there? Right? It's just lowering yourself continuously because it's like, oh, you stayed on this video for more than 3 seconds, so now I'm going to show you more, and you're just like, this is making me
it's
feel
your
worse.
self-confidence in the gut, and it's not healthy. That's the ultimate sort of message. It's not healthy, and this younger generation are going through what seems like a landmine field,
Mm.
you know, trying to survive at certain
It's also
times.
like comparison as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Comparing yourself has just taken things to a whole
Yeah,
different
and they're not
level.
understanding that, and that would be deemed misinformation. You know, many of these scenarios where influencers are traveling around the world, living their best life,
Yeah.
they
Editing their videos, how
editing
they
their
look, how
videos.
they, you know,
Yeah.
how they
the fitness influencers is a great example.
Perfect
you
example.
know?
Like the growth of skincare in children.
Oh my God.
I know there's a massive thing about Sephora and Mecca talking about how literal children are coming into their stores and going, I need a 10-step skincare routine because I need to look like this person. And it's like
and buying products that shouldn't be used.
You are literally
under 30.
12.
Super scary.
Your skin is still got color. Like you've got the best skin you could possibly have.
And they're so
like,
open to bad things to be absorbed into their skin at that age,
yeah,
right? So
it's just all that misinformation.
Yeah, and that's so scary.
The wrong information as well. Like skincare, they're also talking about like targeting ads for young people as well. Like 12-year-olds don't need to see retinol ads, or they don't need to see, you know, Botox ads, or you know, injectables, or whatever it is.
It's a very good point.
Because they're children. Show them ads of like Flip Out or, you know, Play-Doh. Like I was playing with Play-Doh when I was 12, but no, like that's a whole nother topic though about children just like growing up way too quickly these days because of social media. But that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, the misinformation is it's so scary, and I think that people, brands, the media need to just take a really good hard look at themselves and go, we need to you know, readjust how we do things.
Yeah, I think it's created a lot more responsibility and accountability for them to actually make sure that people are protected, you know, minors are protected, you know, especially.
There should be rules in place. I don't know what rules there are.
I'm sure there is to an extent. And again, this is a whole nother topic, but then there's also a layer of parenting and whether these kids, A, have their own account or B, are using the parents' adult account for adult content. It's such a hairy topic, right? And again, that's a whole new podcast, but I think everybody, especially parents as well, they need to be aware of what misinformation is and how prominent it is, right? Because people just take it as reality.
Yeah. I think we need to, remember, and you know, me myself, I need to remember as well that not everything I see on TikTok, I'm like, oh, I saw it on TikTok, it has to be true. And I'm like, just because I saw it on TikTok, like, you know, my partner goes, you just saw it on TikTok, it doesn't mean it's real. I'm like, but most of the time, the things on social media are super positive and super, like, I've learned so many like hacks, how to, like, you know, if my dog ever got a bone stuck in its throat, how to help get it out. Like, that's stuff that I would have never have learned.
There is so many cool things like that.
But there's also, like you said, there's a negative and a positive to everything. And the negative can be so negative that it's so detrimental and dangerous. And that's the scary thing about social media. And it's realistically, it's always going to be like this. There's never going to be a time where people don't want to just, you know, get a story out.
And the bad stories sell quicker. So.
Exactly. If you're the first person to figure out the name of the person who's done something, you're the one who's getting the paycheck, right? You're the one who's getting all of the first-hand stories rather than the second-hand information.
Yeah, and I think what you said before comes into it a lot as well. The old school reporter ethics back in the day, which even then some people would say, oh, that was so unethical because they were so dead set to get the story out.
Or like full on in your face. Yeah.
But these days it's gone even lower because a lot of those ethics aren't there. At least back in the day, you'd need to verify the source at some level. Whereas nowadays, they know no matter what they put onto social media, they're looking at thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of views, you know, and that's what it's about. You know,
and views are the highest form of, you know, validation, I guess, on social media these days.
Yeah, and it's like people forget that, it's on my phone or it's on my laptop or it's on my iPad. They disconnect that that human connection is gone, you know.
Well, it used to be newspaper, right? And it'd usually be the morning afterwards you would receive it. So say something would happen the day on a Saturday, you'd get the Sunday newspaper. And by that time, everything's like the sources are validated and verified.
Cleaned out.
It's clean. People have gone through editing and they've printed a million copies because they're like, yep, this is the final information. We've got it. Because you can't edit a piece of newspaper once a million people have got it, right? But you could just go onto a social media post and go, oh, I'm going to just edit this real quick because this is now the updated thing. And that is scary as well, being able to just edit something and go, oopsies, and it looks like it was never changed.
That's right. And another thing with that right? Something we were talking about earlier was that it'll be posted. Sometimes they won't correct the original post and they'll post another one.
Yeah, and
right,
go like,
say,
oh, update.
So
or
sorry,
whatever.
la-di-da, fair enough. However,
Mm.
I personally have noticed in my own TikTok feed, sometimes something will come up. It might be an event or a post of some kind. And I'll be like, oh, wow, this is crazy. And I'm thinking it's so relevant and happening now. But it's 2 months old.
I know, I did that to Olivia the other day too.
And so there's a danger there too where something pops up. It might have been already factually been proven incorrect, but it's still out there in the interwebs. And it's popping up for people and they're like, oh, wow, when did this happen? And I think it's happening now. So it's
not like
all
up
over
to
the
date
place.
either. It's not like filtering out things that are relevant.
Yeah.
It's also happened so many times, like even just between Bianca and I, where I'll come to work and be like, oh my gosh, have you seen this thing? Like it is everywhere, all over my TikTok. Bianca's never heard of it. And the same the other way around. Like you are in your own little rabbit hole and you think that this thing is like the biggest event to hit the world. And it's not. It's in your own little bubble, but you believe what you see on TikTok and it totally impacts everything.
Yeah. It's actually crazy. The amount of times we have done that, I'm like, Olivia, did you see this? And she goes, no. And
like
I'm
I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah. I'm like, it's everywhere. Like every second video is that. And she's like, nah. And then she did it to me the other day, and I was like, nah, never heard of that.
Yeah.
Or it came up on my For You page 2 months later, and I'm like, Olivia, look what's happening. She goes, that's old. I was like, what? How is that old? That's what's also scary as well.
Yeah. People need to be aware. Like they're not
check
aware.
your dates, check when things are done, because that's
and it gets tricky because I've also noticed, and it could be just I'm a bit of a noob on TikTok, I'm still getting used to it, but sometimes I can't see the date immediately on a post.
I feel like you actually have to dig for it like in the comments.
Yeah, and I find that sometimes a bit off-putting because
it's probably honestly done on purpose.
I think so, because it'll come up and, based on these conversations and me sort of becoming a bit wiser to everything, recently I'm like, where the hell's the date? And I literally have to go into the comments.
But how many times have you looked and it's old?
Yes, I actually have done that. And I always go straight to the comments because I love reading the comments. And then I'm looking and then I'm like, it doesn't say this month. It's like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Or it's like, I know I saw an example the other day was this guy posted a video with a girl and I know he was like dating this other girl. They're like, he's kind of famous, right, on socials. And he posted this video with this other TikTok creator and I was like, I swear he has a girlfriend. And I'm like, I swear I saw a video like 2 days ago of them together and then this new video came up. Had a scroll. That video was old, but it was still actively, because he's obviously a big creator, so it's still regulating or cycling through For You pages. And he's got a new girlfriend now. And I was like, that is crazy.
And it just warps everything you believe about it.
Everything, because I'm like looking at it, I'm like, okay, this video is new, so this is obviously happening right now because the comments were like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. That old video, went back and had a look, had to scroll, and I'm like, there's no way. And it was like a couple of months ago. Like that's a perfect example of, whoa, hold on. Let me have a look.
Yeah.
But that's me obviously actively going, let me have a look. But there'd be so many people who see the news and go, oh, I didn't know that was old.
You know what that reminds me of? There's a big fitness YouTuber and she had kind of a similar thing to what you were saying. Like she had old videos where she was putting out all these kind of diet and fitness tips, which to be honest are quite harmful. And she's actually come out since then and said, look, like that's not really what I believe anymore. Like that's not quite healthy. I'm not following that.
Yeah.
But the videos are still there and they're still gaining views. So people watch those videos going, oh, great, I'm going to follow this, whatever else.
I'm not going to say her name, but is this the girl that everyone was doing her exercises for? Like that?
Yeah. She does have.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want people to.
I cannot lip read to save my life.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so funny. For everybody just listening to the audio, Bianca tried to get Olivia to lip read and it was a big fail.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like this, because like there'll be some lady on TikTok who goes, I'm going to figure out what she just said.
They're going to like listen to like your little.
Yeah, literally.
Some expert will come along and
we'll get Jerome to fix that out. That's fine.
First thing, like stuff like that just spreads, and she has put out since then that what she said, like she doesn't believe it anymore, but no one sees that. Exactly. It's like if you put out something that's incorrect, you should remove it, but they don't. Same thing. You see something that's old, it's been proven to be incorrect, but they've kept the video up because it's getting views.
Yeah, well, that's the media.
It's really dangerous.
And that's where it's dangerous, right? Because
so dangerous.
And actually fitness is a great subject for this because there is so many influencers jumping on different bandwagons when it comes to lifestyle, diet, things like that. and they will swear black and blue that their way is right.
Yes.
There's the old vegetarian, vegan, carnivore now, and
Keto.
all keto. There's all these things where all of them will, and some of them just come out and say, "This is what I prefer," and that's okay.
Yeah, you're allowed to have your own opinion on
this
what
is
works
what
for
I
you.
do.
That's right.
Great.
This works for me. They understand and they openly say, everybody's body is different. What works for you? And there's always a golden rule, such as cut out the crappy crap that
The crappy crap.
the crappy crap,
Quotes.
cut out the processed foods or whatever. But then you'll have other people saying, you got to be vegan. Otherwise, you're going to die before 50.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have people saying, you got to be carnivore.
Yeah.
Because
You
otherwise,
gotta clean yourself and flush yourself
Yeah.
out.
Eat a stick of butter whole.
Eat a stick of butter
I saw
for
this chick
breakfast.
put butter in her coffee the other day instead of milk. She goes,
That's
"This
a
is better,"
keto
and I'm like,
thing.
"I'm pretty sure milk and butter is like the same kind of
essentially,
form of thing." Like,
yeah. Look, I
Well,
love butter, so
saying I love butter too, but
But-
not in my coffee. It was
Let's
literally
be
black
real.
coffee with a stick of butter.
I think it's called like bulletproof coffee. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a keto thing.
Yeah.
So with
It
the
looks
bulletproof
awful.
one, they sort of, I think they put coconut
Oh, it
oil in
looks
there with some
disgusting.
MCT
That's
or
disgusting.
MCT oil, I
Yeah.
think, which is made out of coconut oil and stuff. So that's
just drink
cool.
it black at that point.
just-
Like honestly.
But the point is, obviously, this might work for you, and it might be relatively healthy.
Yeah.
But they just jump on these extremes and they use it to push themselves forward.
Yeah.
And they
for
say
sure.
it like it's a fact.
Yeah.
Like this is
and-
the only thing.
and that's where people sort of get lost in that. They're looking for answers,
yeah,
and
definitely.
as humans, we're always looking for the magical answer.
Or the answer that fits as well. We
Exactly.
want the answer that sounds like, okay, that sounds like it fits.
This
I'm
sounds
gonna
like
go
me.
with that.
Exactly right. And we're so guilty of that. We're
Yeah.
all so guilty of that. And it gets so dangerous because people end up in hospital, literally.
Well, it's like when you type up a symptom that you have and then you're looking for the worst one because you're like, you know what? That's what I got.
Dr. Google is the worst thing.
That's a whole nother misinformation
Yeah.
because technically the information could be right, but it's just
Not for you.
Not for you.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I have a headache. If you Google what
Never.
causes a headache,
Brain tumor is like the
Yeah.
biggest thing ever.
like
Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, let's
you-
go do a CT scan.
you're going to
Like,
die in 2 hours from an aneurysm, apparently.
Yeah.
Whereas you might have a
You've
tight
just
neck.
had a stroke.
Yeah.
What?
it's
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's out of control.
Yeah, cool.
Ultimately.
Anyway, but misinformation is definitely something that people should look out for. 100%. You need to just make sure that when you're talking about things, you need to have a correct source. Like make sure that you are spreading information that is correct because it's like a rumor, right? You don't want to be the person to start a rumor. It can be detrimental. It can really hurt people, families, reputations, businesses, especially as well. So just be mindful of what you say.
Take
And-
everything with a grain of salt.
Of course.
Take everything with a grain of salt. Be respectful and don't
and
be quick to jump on
understanding
and
as
judge.
well.
And understanding.
Make sure that you are
Yeah.
understanding. Obviously, like, there are some scenarios where you don't have to, agree with people at all, but just be understanding of things and situations. And make sure that you're getting your information from a valid source, a verified source.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Amen to that. Thanks so much, guys, for joining our podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.